Hi, my name's Jack Fisher, and I'm a solutions architect here at Nasstar in the AI and automation practice. Now, today's video, we're just going to talk you through the art and science of prompting and how to follow the GCSE framework. Now, I'm sure for anyone who's studied in England, they probably have an idea of what a GCSE is, but we're going to look at this in the context of how you prompt Copilot to get the most out of it. Right, so just to set the scene here, we're looking at the art and science of prompting, and particularly the right-hand area of this slide that we're looking at, which is the GCSE framework. So it's kind of how you can include the right prompt ingredients. So to get the best response, it's really important to focus on some of the key elements below when you're phrasing your Copilot prompts. So make sure that you have a goal. So that's the what. What response do you want from Copilot? Make sure you have a context. So this is the why. Why do you need it and who is involved? Next, we have the source. So that's the which information sources or samples should Copilot use? And then we have the how, which is the expectations. So how should Copilot respond to best meet your expectations? Right, okay, so what we're going to do is do a bit of a demo here. So what I've done, I've jumped over into Microsoft Word. I've just added the slide that we were looking at, a snippet of the slide that we were looking at before to keep that idea there of the GCSE framework. So goal, context, source, and expectations. And what we're going to do is we're going to prompt this document twice. The first one is going to be a relatively simple one-line prompt. We'll review that output, see what Copilot comes up with, and then we're going to use a similar prompt but following the GCSE idea and compare and contrast the kind of output that we get from each. So first off, we are going to prompt it, and we're going to hit the little Copilot box here in Word. Just pull that to the middle of the screen, and then we just said create me a document on how best to prompt Copilot, and we hit generate. So whilst that's generating, we'll come back and review the output once the document is created. Okay, so now we're back. We've had a bit of a digest of all of the information it's created here. And like I said, it has had a really good stab at it. But one of the things I just want to highlight here is because the prompt, we just simply asked it how best to prompt Copilot, it's come up, like I said, with really good ideas, but some of it isn't actually relevant because I wasn't specific enough in what I was asking for. So here it's talking about how to use prompts for writing code, which is great, but actually I want to kind of get this top 10 tips to be all around M365 Copilot rather than things like GitHub Copilot. So, it's taken such a broad amount of information here and condensed it into these 10 top tips. So I need to employ this GCSE framework so that actually we get specific and target it at the right type of audience, etc. So what we'll do, we're going to sort of black this document back so it's just blank, and then we'll start again with a much more sort of in-depth prompt that's following this goal, context, source, and expectations. Okay, so we are back to our blank Word document here, and what we're going to do is build a prompt that follows this framework. So again, we're going to hit the Copilot box, and then the first thing we're looking for is the goal. So what is the goal of what I'm trying to create here? So the goal is going to be create me a document to give people tips and tricks on how best to use Copilot for M365. So I've been more specific here with the goal of what I'm trying to achieve. Then I'm going to give it some context. So the context is going to be, this is to help our latest group of cohorts enrolled in our Copilot adoption plan. So now we've got the goal, we've got the context. Next, we're going to give it a source. So in here, I'm going to say, you can use, and then I'm going to use the /, and that will then allow me to start searching for documents that we can use as a source. So I've said you can use, and I know that I've got a PowerPoint presentation which had this very slide and some others in it called prompting guidelines. So I'm going to point it at the prompting guidelines PowerPoint file. So you can use prompting guidelines to help create this, and then next we're going to give it our expectations. So what audience are we kind of creating this document for? What type of people are going to be using these 10 top tips? So I'm just going to give some expectations around please don't use overly technical language, as it's for a wide audience of both technical and non-technical people. Try to keep the document to 2 pages long. So we've got the goal, the context, the source, and the expectation. We're going to hit generate, and then we'll wait while it creates that, and we'll come back to you. Okay, so Copilot has gone off and done its thing, and this time it's much more focused on what we wanted. So again, it's created a bunch of tips and tricks for prompting Copilot for M365. It's given us a little intro again, so what is Copilot and how it can help you, but then it's gone on to how to prompt Copilot effectively. Now, like I said, I pointed this at the prompting guidelines PowerPoint that we had, which had this slide about the GCSE framework in it, and it's actually gone into great detail about this. So a good prompt should, you can see here, a good prompt should include the following elements: goal, context, source, and expectations, and then it's expanded upon each of those. It's then gone on to say how to keep the conversation going with Copilot so that you can keep improving upon what you're doing, and then a few helpful hints to keep in mind. So this is really good. It's also kept it to the no longer than the 2 pages that I wanted, because I want this to be a fairly easily digestible document for the people that are going to be consuming it. So there you go, that's the GCSE framework for you, and that's how you should be trying to craft the prompts that you give Copilot to get the most out of it. Thanks very much.